and oh, that went down my lip. They are sourly pickled, but it's still good. So, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are going to quick pickle some beans today. My in-laws were drowning in beans, so I took a bunch of them from them, and I really like to quick pickle beans for tacos and charcuterie boards, and so we are going to do that together today. I am going to hopefully make 3 jars, and I'm gonna test out, I like to make them a little spicier, so I'm gonna test out trying to put a super hot pepper in one of them to see if it can make them spicier than when I put jalapenos in, which doesn't taste like anything. And so we're gonna get to that today. So let's get into it. What's up? My name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada. That was my kettle going off right there. And I garden in Ottawa Zone 5, and we are going to pickle some beans right now. So let's do it. So with quick pickling, you don't need to wash your jars quite to the extent that you do with water bathing. So you can actually just sterilize them in your dishwasher, or you can pour hot water over them. I'm pouring hot water into mine because they'd gone through the dishwasher, but it's been a couple weeks since they've been through it. So I'm just gonna give it one more quick wash. And so I'm just gonna be pouring some hot water into them, and then we're gonna get to stuffing them with beans. The fun thing with quick pickled beans is you can put any type of flavoring that you want into them. You can put fresh dill, you can put dried allspice, I'm gonna do garlic and hot peppers in mine. You can put mustard seeds, whatever you wanna do. You can go wild, you can make, since these beans will make me 2-3 jars, I can make 3 different flavors if I wanted to. It's really up to you what you're interested in, and that's what makes them so fun. So you can experiment and make 3 different flavors, but if you do that, just make sure you label your jars, so if you like something specific, you're not like, what was in here? How did I do that? And so I am going to be using some garlic that I grew myself. This is one of my smaller ones that I'm not gonna be replanting, so it's perfect for this. I've got some super hot peppers that I'm gonna be putting in mine, the beans of course, and then I might stick some mustard seeds in one of my jars. So we're gonna try out a couple different flavors, and then we're gonna make the brine. Once you're done sterilizing your jars, you're gonna wanna clean everything. So wash your peppers, wash your garlic, and then wash your beans. And then you're just gonna, you can cut off the tips of your beans, or you can put them in whole and then just cut them off when you're eating them pickled. It's really up to you. So the amount of prep that's required in this recipe is almost nothing as well. So we're just going to maybe cut up some of these beans that are too tall for the jars, or cut some of the tips off, but otherwise it's gonna be super duper quick. Okay, so for the first one, I am going to be adding mustard seeds. And I'm just gonna go wild, because who cares? Ah, making a mess. And then I am going to add in my garlic. And because it's a bigger jar, I am going to put 2 in. These are really fresh though, so they're gonna have a lot of flavor. Okay. Okay, I just got myself a really nice jalapeno. And I am just going to chop the head off, slice it in half, and then in it goes. And I'm just gonna build all of my jars right now because it makes it a little bit faster. I'm gonna try some whole black pepper in this one. Maybe that's all. And then I am going to do this guy here. Oh, gotta do my garlic. This is a nice size clove. In it goes. And then let's do this last garlic before I start working with hot peppers, because then we have to start cleaning up my hands and staying safe. Okay, I'm gonna do mustard seeds in this one as well. Okay. Now, let's do this guy first. So this one's only as hot as a habanero, so it's not too bad. So that one's gonna go in there. And then this one is ghost pepper hot at 1,000,000 Scoville. So I really don't want to touch either of them. I'm gonna put the fork and the knife straight into the wash. When it comes to super hot peppers, you cannot be too cautious, and so it's not a big deal for you to wash your hands frequently and to wear gloves or safety glasses, whatever you need to do if you're working with super, super spicy peppers. Just take your safety as a top priority. So one of the important things I just have to be mindful of is not putting my hand in the jar right where the hot pepper is. So I'm actually just gonna stuff it. I like to stuff it on its side like this, so that way everything stays to one side here. And for me, I don't really care if the stem is still on it. I'm just gonna cut it off once they're done being pickled. And so it's just surprising how many beans you can really fit in one of these jars. But I'm not gonna stuff this one too full, because if it's too spicy, then we can't eat it. So you can see that they're a little bit high, so all I'm gonna do is just bend them over and crack them to the right height. It's actually, it doesn't really matter. Same concept. I'm just gonna stuff them in here. And I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm not gonna have too many in this one in case it's too spicy. And I just am already running out of beans, and I haven't finished stuffing all the jars yet. So I just wanna make sure that I don't run out of beans too early on. So you can cut your beans if you really want to, like if you don't like that it's overstuffed like that, you can cut your beans. It's really up to you. There's not really, it's not a big deal how you do it. The main thing that you want is that all of the beans are submerged, because otherwise they won't pickle, obviously. And so I'm just gonna come through and just crack the tops. This is the opposite of a cooking channel. This is how gardeners do things. I mean, food safety, of course, is very important, but aesthetics is much lower on the list for a gardener. It's mostly trying to get your food canned before it goes bad, since homegrown food just does not last as long as store-bought, because obviously there's no chemicals being sprayed on your home garden. So it's all about getting it done before it goes bad. And so all of these beans here are pole beans, and so they don't get quite as dirty as a bush bean does. You just want to make sure that if you're growing bush beans that you're cleaning off the dirt on them, because these ones grow in the ground, grow closer to the ground, so they can get dirtier than your average pole bean is. But you really just want to make sure that there's no dirt that you're pickling. And of course, if they're all the same size, they'll pickle at the same rate. But if you are doing what I'm doing and you're mixing different kinds of beans in together, they're gonna pickle at different speeds than the larger ones. Your smaller ones will pickle faster. It's funny because my nose is burning from the super hots that are in that other jar there. The goal is you want it pretty jammed in there, so that way nothing can float to the surface and not be pickled. And so I'm just literally jamming them in as best as I can. But my priority at first was just to make sure that I had enough beans for my 3 jars. And from here on in, I can now fill them to the brim. Speaking of brim, you do want to make sure that you don't have them higher than the bottom of the rim here, because you want to have a little bit of air. And when you put in your brine, you want to make sure everything is covered. And so the more space you leave up top, the more brine you have to make sure that everything stays covered. But if you have your beans right up to the top, then you're gonna have parts of it that stay out of the brine and then they won't get pickled. So you want to avoid that. Okay, so now we are going to make the brine, and it's 50-50 vinegar to water. And so for this, I'm gonna use 2.5 cups of vinegar and then 2.5 cups of filtered water, because I have a 1 liter jar and 2 500 milliliter jars. So this should be enough brine for me. And then after that, you're gonna put in a 1/4 cup of salt. So I got this from Loblaws, I think. And I bought it last year for pickling season. And I absolutely love like the container that it comes in. I mean, I don't like that it's plastic, but I like that it's perfect for pickling because I can get exactly how much I need by putting my spoon in there, and I don't have to like grind any or, you know, pour it into anything. It's just so convenient. So big fan of big Tupperwares of salt. And now we're just gonna bring it to a boil, and then once it's boiled, we'll pour it into the jars. So I'll see you back here shortly. If you've ever boiled vinegar water before, you know that stuff gets up your nose. Like, it is intense. What we're gonna do now is we are going to pour the hot water. It's gonna be hard for you guys to see, but you're essentially pouring it straight into the jars. And then you just wanna get it up to the base of the neck where I told you. And as you can see, we had just enough for those 3 jars. So I'm just going to top up. Guys, vinegar water is intense. Okay, and then you're just going to close them shut. And so they could snap shut, but they don't need to because they're just being quick pickled. And then all you're gonna do is you're gonna wait for them to cool down to room temperature and stick them in the fridge. So now that the hot water's in here and the jars are cooled, you're gonna wanna put a label on the top of them, just what day that you pickled them, because you're gonna wanna wait 2 to 3 weeks before you start to eat them in order for them to have a more pickled flavor. You can wait even longer. Sometimes I wait 4 to 6 weeks because I really like them to be pickled. Refrigerator pickles aren't shelf stable, so they have to stay in the fridge. Quick pickling, refrigerator pickle, same thing, hence the name. So once they get down to room temperature, you're gonna want to stick them in the fridge. And then you can keep them, some people say with quick pickles that they only last a couple weeks or a couple months, but I've had mine last in the fridge for up to a year. If you open them and they fizz, throw them out, do not eat them. If you open them and they smell weird, throw them out, do not eat them. Take your typical health, whatever you know about health, just take that and run with it. If they smell weird, if they taste weird, throw them out. But otherwise, they should be good to go, and I hope you enjoyed them. Here's some that I have from September 6th of last year. Today is September 8th. So it goes to show that you could have them for a year. And oh, that went down my lip. They are sourly pickled, but it's still good. So you have something to look forward to as I tweak my face. Okay guys, see you in the next video. Bye.